Hello and welcome to this podcast on virtual worlds in introduction and current application. A virtual world is an internet-based simulated environment that enables users to interact via 3D avatars. So in virtual worlds, you create an avatar which is an online representation of yourself. You choose how you want to look, what clothes you wear, etc. You can move around different parts of the virtual world and interact with other users. This allows users to perform tasks that could be confining in the real world due to constraints such as costs, scheduling, and location. The virtual world environment is adaptive as it changes and grows to meet the different users' preferences. We will be discussing a few applications of virtual worlds in education. A few are listed here. Another application where in the real world to practice surgery or even learning to fly an aeroplane could pose a risk. It is safe to practice on virtual worlds. Advantages of virtual world. Cost and location. It is convenient and saves money and time on transport. Educational purposes. There are many resources available in virtual worlds. Engagement in the classroom. A classroom might be too formal for some students. In virtual worlds, students can be relaxed and comfortable and learn at their own pace. Experimentation in classrooms allows for experimentation and practice which would be impossible in real life. Disadvantages of virtual worlds. Hardware. The hardware required to create a virtual world experience is very expensive, and the technology for such an experience is complex, new, and still experimental. Not everyone will be able to afford the high costs of hardware as well as the cost of a high-speed internet connection. Training. Virtual reality training does not have the same consequences as in the real world. So if someone does well in a virtual world environment, they won't necessarily do well in real life. For example, if a person can fly an aeroplane using a virtual simulator, this does not mean that they will be able to fly an aeroplane in real life. Escaping the real world. Some people get lost in the virtual world and forget to deal with real issues facing them in real life. Health implications. Spending extended periods of time looking at the computer screen can lead to vision implications, and people may develop computer vision syndrome and short attention span. As our mothers have warned us, sitting in front of the computer for too long can damage your eyes. A few guidelines and pointers for creating an effective virtual world education space. Indoor and a few more guidelines. Real world-like settings for new virtual world users. So in a virtual world, there are settings in place to provide new users and new students to get familiar with the models and movements and the environment of the game. For older users, there are more innovative stuff to use, and they will learn with experience. Open spaces and sandboxes for new virtual world users. New users will find it more comfortable to control their avatar's movements in open spaces. Open spaces and sandboxes also enable users to learn from each other, practice their Second Life building skills. Activity-focused learning spaces. So on Second Life and in virtual world education spaces, there are specific areas which are dedicated to learning a certain subject. However, their learning space is the entire island. That the whole island or the whole space is dedicated solely to learning, while in others there might be some for learning, some for education, some for social. Thank you very much for listening to my podcast. I hope it was informative.